go. Hello and a massive, massive welcome to our show this week. Just in case you don't know, I'm Deb and this is Bec. I'm sure you do by now. We have a great show for you coming up. We're going to be talking all about clarity and confidence. But as usual, just before we dive into that, we'd like to tell you about a few things that we are up to. And as it's coming up to Black Friday this week, we have had a Black Friday sale that we're pretty excited about. All of our self-study programs, we've got 20% off them. And we actually had a lady this morning who was going to do, well, she is doing something else with us, and she was cheeky enough to ask for 20% off what she was going to do. And we said yes.
We did, yeah, so don't be shy.
Yeah.
We've put all of the self-study programs at 20% off. And if you're on our mailing list, you've already had an email about that today.
With the coupon.
If you're not on our mailing list, jump on it now because they'll be coming out Friday as well.
I activated the coupon straight away. I didn't wait till Friday.
Couldn't keep Deb down, you know. She just went for it. She thought, why wait till Friday?
Exactly.
So
what days? Yeah.
Sales are already on.
They are.
Go and grab yourself a bargain. And like our good friend, if you're feeling a bit cheeky and there's something you want from our website, ask, because we have the clarity and confidence to say no if it's a no.
Or yes, if it's a good idea.
So ask, why not? Who knows what bargains you could get.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely. I particularly wanted to tell you a bit about the Advent calendar, which is also in the Black Friday sale. This is a new thing for me and Deb. We put together a Dare to Be You kindness Advent calendar.
For the season of goodwill and kindness,
yes.
Christmas.
Absolutely.
We need to have a good Christmas this year with everything that's gone on.
We thought it'd be a great way to kind of end this year with lots of kindness and goodwill. So it's a virtual calendar. It looks just like an Advent calendar. You get a link from us and you get to go and open a door each day.
I had a picture of it on my phone, but I don't think I'm not going to be able to make it.
I don't think we'll be able to share. If you're on the mailing list, you should be able to see the picture.
Yes, I sent one out in the newsletter.
But it looks just like an Advent calendar on your computer screen, and you get to open a door each day, and behind each door is a kind surprise. So it is well worth getting involved with that. And like I say, that's in the Black Friday sale, so you can get it even cheaper than the full price of £15. And it will be worth it, because what a great way to spend the month of December, thinking about kindness, being kind, being out in the world.
And
sharing.
A little bit of us as well.
And obviously a bit of us, yes. Who wouldn't want that for December? So yeah, go and have a little look at that on our website. If you go to daretobeyou.co.uk, in the menu bar across the top, there's a very bold and bright Advent calendar. So as it suggests, that's where you can find it.
And I will try and remember to put the links below this, wherever it is you're watching this. I'll try and remember to put the links in so that you can see what's going on there.
We would hate for you to miss out.
Oh, we would absolutely hate it. So I need to just move that to there because, yeah, I do. Okay. So let's get the show on the road for today. So today we're going to be talking all about clarity and confidence. Yeah, an interesting subject. So what comes to me to share around this is, having lived from both headspaces, having been in complete what's not clarity, muddiness.
Yeah.
Unclarity.
Unclarity. I don't know. Let's invent it.
Having been in that space, I've got a new phone as well, so sorry. I don't know how to make it silent.
We haven't worked that out yet, so you'll just have to enjoy
I got a new phone
tones.
yesterday and I don't know how to make it silent, so I'm very sorry. I will work that out. Yeah, so clarity and confidence, going back to that. What I wanted to share with you around that was what I really, really saw was that both of those things, clarity and confidence, are innate within us. But the piece that I think that we need to know before we can, I mean, we will always access it because it is innately who we are, and we will come back to a place of clarity and confidence around things no matter what we do. We're like a cork in the water and we push ourselves down, and the minute we let go, we bob back up. And all of those things that are innate to us, all of those things that are just who we are, come back to the surface. But if we are struggling, like I have on many occasions with these kinds of things, with feeling clear about something, when I have been really muddy, when my head has felt like it's just full of too much to find any clarity around anything, and when I felt like really not confident about anything I'm doing, felt stupid, felt like I'm not good enough, felt like I shouldn't be doing whatever it is I'm doing, all of those things. What has really changed things for me is understanding who I am, just getting a handle on who it is that is not feeling clear, who it is that doesn't feel confident. And to me, the awareness of that and the understanding of that is key to having an amazing life. It's not that you will never feel underconfident again. It's not that you will never have some muddy moments, but with an understanding and an awareness of who it is, there it go again, who it is that you are, that is the piece that changes everything, that makes everything completely different. And I guess it took me a while. People told me about who I was, and it took a while for me to untangle those words and make and understand for me inside of me what they meant. Because that sounds really simple. Okay, so just tell me who I am then. And we will, and we do in pretty much every show we do. We point to it, we say it in clear words, we allude to it, we dance around it. Because the thing is, with understanding who you are, it's beyond our brain, it's beyond our the biology of who we are. We're pointing to something that only your heart can understand and your head can't make sense of it. And part of the reason that we get into this place of muddiness and unconfident is because our head tries to do a job that is our heart's job. And so truly knowing who you are is a job for the heart. But our head is always going to go, me, pick me, I'll do it, I'll sort it out for you, I'll work it out, and work really, really hard on it. And the way that we know that our head is doing that is because we feel it. It feels underconfident. Our clarity goes when our head is really chomping on that. So in a nutshell, you're not your body, you're not your thoughts, you're not any of the things that look really obvious to you. You are something much deeper than that. You are an aspect of God or this universe or the power that is behind life. You are like if you were to smash a mirror and it was in a million pieces, every piece would be a complete mirror. It's, you know, it would be able to, it would still reflect, it would still do what a big mirror would do, but it would just be a tiny piece. And you're like that. You are a tiny piece of the allness of everything. But then we have a body and a mind and this biology and this thing, and we think that we are that. And that, our body, our biology, the things that look that as if they are us, they in and of themselves don't have any power. And it's only when we connect back to that little mirror bit of us, it's only when we find that in us. And we do it all the time because you do amazing things all day, every day. It's not something, oh gosh, so how do I do that? It's done already. But it is in the understanding and the knowing of that amazing things happen in life.
Mm. I think that's really it, isn't it? The knowing of who we are before we come into this form is where kind of clarity and confidence comes from. Seeing that we come with all of that completely built in before we even get our names, our personalities, our bodies, our hair colours, all of the things that we think are us as a human being. Before any of that came into being, we have clarity and confidence. We have all of those things that we're looking for. It was occurring to me as Deb was sharing that, kind of, I thought of an example of time when I didn't feel confident about something, and when I suddenly did, and kind of thought, do you know what, I'm going to kind of talk about that because something in there makes me think it can look really compelling, like I feel more confident about something because I've done it a lot, or I've practiced it, or I've tried it, or I've learnt it. And that was very much what happened when I learnt to drive. Like I kind of learnt to drive a lot later than most people do in life. I was in my 30s, and I had always kind of got it written off that driving wasn't going to be for me. I couldn't drive. I tried a few times. I failed quite a few tests and not been able to pass and get out on the road. So I'd got it set up. I don't have enough confidence to be a driver. That's not going to be who I am. And then when I finally came in and did it again and actually passed, I still had that story. I'm not confident enough to be a driver, but if I just keep going at it, at some point, I'll feel like I'm okay at it. And there came a point where I suddenly had this whole moment of, oh, I'm a driver, I can do this. And it was way after I'd passed my driving test. For about the first 2 years of driving, I was like a nervous ninny all the time, like, you know. And there was just something that happened within me that suddenly was like, oh, I'm a confident driver, I can do this, I'm perfectly fine. And it really looks compelling that I did my lessons, I passed my test, I got lots of experience, and then I got my confidence, like as though it happens in that order. And once I've ticked all the boxes, then I get my confidence. But it's absolutely the other way around. There was always confidence available, and I just covered it over with this entire story of, I'm not confident, that's not available to me. And it was actually in amongst a number of different conversations around driving that something just dropped away for me. It's like confidence was always here. This story lived here, and I couldn't see and know the confidence. And then that story fell away and I saw the confidence. And it was something around seeing that it wasn't on me in the way that I thought it was. It looked to me for such a long time like I was the driver. I had to get it right. I had to drive.
And that's the
car.
little you, the body, the biology of who we are.
Exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah, when we believe it's that.
When there's only me and I have to get it right, I can't have the confidence. There's too much pressure there for me to see anything else. But somewhere in the mix of exploring this conversation, I realised that it wasn't me that does the driving in that way. I am being driven. I sit in the car, I move all the right things in the right places.
Through you.
But yeah, it happens through me. And there's something in that's very much worth exploring if confidence or clarity is something that you feel evades you. If you're kind of hearing this and going, yeah, sure, that makes sense that you've got confidence. Here you are recording a video, doing what you do, but I don't have confidence. It's worth exploring how much of that confidence or clarity you think is on you, little you, the human you, the biology of you, and beginning to look to see what if it comes before that, before you were a human being, before you got given a name, before you had all the amazing, wonderful, weird, wacky stories that we get, that I'm this kind of person or that kind of person. Before all of that form, there's a place where you're already confident, where you're already clear, because you are that creative essence. Like Deb was saying with the mirror analogy, like we are all one big mirror here. And then all that's happened is we've just broken off into tiny little mirrors to go off and reflect in life. And as soon as we remember that we are that same full mirror in all its beautiful glory, it's not on us to have to find confidence or build confidence or wait for 2 years before your confidence arrives for you. You can see through that story here and now.
I think we often have the story about being confident about something. And I think children are a great example, little ones, of how confidence is just innate. And then we make up our stories that I can't do that. And a couple of things will come into me. The children thing, and just seeing, I know with my little grandson, I just watch him and he's confident about everything and he can't do anything. Well, that's not true. He does a lot of things. But you can really see stuff that he just can't do. He's totally confident to do it. He has no story that it will mean something about him if it fails. When he was learning to walk and things like that, he would just get up and go. When he couldn't, he hadn't got his balance and it was beyond him. But he hadn't got a story that it meant that he wasn't good enough or it meant anything about him. And that is the thing, isn't it? We have this story that if we fail, which is also made up. Like if you go back to that analogy, I never thought of him as a failure when he fell over when he was learning to walk. But if we believe that if we try to do something and we fail, and then we have a whole story about what it means, definitely, like I can see that, and with the driving that you're talking about, when we have the so if I fail my test, then I am a failure. It means I'm not good enough. It means blah 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 blah. And you know, our heads can do all sorts of things. And what I have seen around confidence is that sometimes it's even the confidence to just say, I can't do that. But for me, what I can see, when I wasn't in that confident place, I was ashamed if I couldn't do something. So I hid that I couldn't do it. I hid in every way, and then just shook and felt unconfident. Whereas if I could just show up and say, hey, I don't know that. There's nothing wrong with not knowing something. And we can be perfectly confident of not knowing something. And then again, it's not in that way that we are beating ourselves up and putting ourselves down, like not being a driver or something, or not having passed our test. It's not, you know, we can do that in such a way that sort of says, oh yeah, I'm rubbish, I haven't passed my test. No, when we're just confident about what we can and can't do, because confidence isn't about being able to do something. Confidence is about knowing inside that you're good enough no matter what you can or can't do. It's not, we very much link confidence to making videos or talking to people or being in a room with other people or what, and we just say, oh no, I'm not confident because I can't do that. Well, be confident that you can't do it. It's not about a doing of something. And I really, really see that with my grandson. And I think when we allow ourselves, when we allow ourselves to be who we are, when we begin to know that, to me, that's when the clarity comes, because that is the connection with what came before. Because the only place that we can get muddied up and foggy is when we think it's all on us, because that who we are before that, beyond our biology, there's never any underconfidence or muddy, there's nothing muddy going on there. That is just pure love and clarity. That is who we are. And it's only the clarity, the muddiness, or the unclarity, and the muddiness, the when we're not confident, all of that is just a warning that we have forgotten who we are. And when we come back and remember what it is we have before our biology, what the deeper truth of who we are, what that inner place in us knows about us, when we see that again, it looks funny to us that we weren't clear and confident.
It's the clarity one's a really interesting one to me. Like, I hear so many people when you ask them a question, and I know I do the same thing. I don't know. If you ask them a question, and it can be literally anything, you know, do you want a cup of tea? Oh, I don't know. You know, all the way up to, you know, the most complicated, what house shall we buy, or shall we sell out, you know, those bigger things in life, as it were. And it's like, one of the things for me around clarity that I'm really playing around with at the moment is knowing what we know, knowing everything we've just been sharing about that connection, that we are already confident, we are already the clarity, we are already the entire essence and energy of this universe. I do know. Like, even when I say I don't, I must know somewhere in me. And I'm playing around with that in some kind of, you know, small areas, like small kind of thing, like when people ask me if I want a cup of tea, or what do I want for dinner, or those kinds of things that in many ways are probably fairly inconsequential, whichever way I go. I just have this moment of, well, if I did know whether I wanted a cup of tea, what's my answer? Yeah, do I or don't I? Yeah. And just really playing around with that clarity has to be available. And it's a, you know, one size fits all here. It can't be available for me and not Deb, or Deb and not you, or available when I'm thinking about a cup of tea but not when I'm planning to buy a house, or vice versa. You know, it has to be all or nothing. There's either clarity available all the time for anyone, or it can't be what we're pointing to here. So I'm really playing around with that at the moment. Really, I love that. getting to know where that's available. Is it here? You know, is it available here? Can I be clear in this moment? And even sometimes if I don't know, then be clear that I don't know, and that's okay. Because it might be, you know, probably not with a cup of tea, that's a fairly, you know, small one often, but there are sometimes things I'm like, oh, I don't actually know yet. The clarity on what the absolute answer is hasn't come, but I'm clear that right now I don't know that and don't need to know that. Because I think that's one of those places we can really tear ourselves apart, isn't it? When
that's where our brain kicks in and choose and choose and choose and gives us a headache.
Yeah, when we make it, I have to know now. It's like, see the clarity around not knowing in this moment. Because almost the minute we see that, we start to know something we didn't know a moment ago. Because we have to have it available to us to know. That's got to be in there, in the way that this is set up, in how life and the system and our minds work. The clarity to know what we need to know is always available to us. And just, I don't know, play around with that. That's what I'm doing at the moment. Just all sorts of things that are coming my way. What if I did know this? What if I was clear? What if I'm clear that I don't know and that's okay for today? And that, for me, I can almost replace the word clarity with peace or surrender. Kind of those words of, oh, just surrender to not knowing. Surrender to knowing and being okay with what I know. Because I find that 9 times out of 10, if I say I don't know, what I really mean is I don't want to tell you what I do know.
I don't want to know myself yet.
Or I'm not prepared to know yet.
Yeah, very often we do know, but we're just not quite prepared to let ourselves know yet.
That kind of happened for us a little while back. We were looking at a house. We went to see a house that we were maybe interested in moving into, and it was a really nice house. It kind of on paper had all of the things that we wanted for our next home, and when we looked around it, we all quite enjoyed it. There was a couple of things we thought, oh, don't know if that will work, but we can possibly make. And we had a conversation when we left the house for about 20 minutes about all the things we could do, what could work here, how we could. And then something in me, I spoke before I'd even really thought about it and said to Deb, instinct, is this your house or not? And it was a very funny moment because I asked the question because I'd had a moment of clarity that it wasn't my house.
It was very strange when you asked the question, because that kind of
you wanted
little
to
me
say,
straight off something. I wanted to say, oh yes, and what I knew instantly when you asked me that question was, it's not my home. And that's what it took me. I was a little bit shocked because I thought yes was going to, you know, it's the perfect house, because in so many ways it was, and that felt like what I was going to say, and it was a strange moment for both of us, wasn't it? Because I hesitated for a moment and then just went, oh, it's not my home.
No. And I asked the question almost because I wanted Deb to say no, so I didn't have to, because I knew, like, we know these things.
We do.
And sometimes we're just afraid to know them. I knew it wasn't the house for us, for me, for what we were.
And we could have easily talked ourselves into.
Could have.
I definitely can see a time when we both could have overridden, because it seemed as if it was right, and yet both of us knew inside that it wasn't. And I think everything we're pointing to here is play around with the small things, with the do I want my cup of tea or not? Listening. I think listening and awareness is really key here to this deeper part of who you are. Because I know that in one of the daily inspirations, I've been writing some daily inspirations for this week, or I think it might have been actually one that I read out on our in our Facebook group, and it was, you know, our mind is very, very used to being dominant and taking that role. And what I see more and more and more is my brain is brilliant, and I am so grateful that I have got a brain. I'm so grateful for being human, and I love having a human body, and I love doing human things and interacting, and the fun we have in the office and the time I spend with my grandson. But what I see is that all of that takes on an absolute new magic, and it can be so much more fun and so much more pleasant when I let my brain be what it's supposed to be, and when I listen to that intuition, that inner knowing, my gut feeling, God, the universe, whatever makes sense to you to call it. We all have that something. And for the longest time, I just blocked that out. And I think we're really taught to block that out and not listen, to, make a lot of how clever our humanness is. And don't get me wrong, it is flipping clever to be human. We are amazing. But we are only amazing because of this other part that we have. And the more that we embrace that and get curious about it, find out about it, look towards it and play, exactly. We do a lot of little challenges and fun things to play around with that, to know, dare to be you. And to dare to be you have to be prepared to know who you are. It's a bit of a journey, isn't it?
It can have its moments,
It can indeed.
That's ultimately what clarity is, getting to know who you are and recognizing when that voice is coming through, when it's saying no to the house, when it's saying yes to a cup of tea.
Sometimes it says yes things to you, and you're like, I don't, what?
Surely that couldn't have
surely
been
no,
yes.
no. But that's it. Life is amazing when we listen to our inner calling, our inner knowing, our inner guidance. And it's amazing in the most ordinary, normal of ways, and in the most blow it out of the park, flipping blow your head off ways, and everything in between. I just love life. Having a moment.
So clarity and confidence, that's it. It's already yours.
Absolutely. It's built into you. So just play with it and get curious about what it is and what it is we're pointing towards. So next week, to go with our calendar, to go with our Advent calendar, we're going to be talking all about kindness, because we've been having such fun planning and making and putting together the calendar, and it's all based on kindness and goodwill of the season. And so we've been having some real fun remembering the random acts of kindness and the ways we've played around with that, and remembering, how kindness is built into our system, what it is. We've just been having the best fun with it. So we thought we would have that as our topic next week. We would talk all about kindness.
So we'll see you there.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Bye.
And we'll see you soon. Take care.